I could hear your footsteps first. Then your breathing. I could smell your fear first. Bit by bit you approached, and I waited for you. I knew that you, like all who trod the tombs of my people, would eventually fall into my hands. The detainee. The line led him through a quick twisting of corridors before a door opened to allow him into an open area. There were devices on the walls that were labeled, openings with cryptic stencils above them, tables with chairs, and trash receptacles. Unvarak could read Terra script by that time, not fallen Confederacy standard, but the language of the Terras themselves. He moved past each of the strange devices on the walls, different types of something called Nutriforges, as well as an order pad to have live line cook creations and other esoteric things, while at any other time he would have been curious to examine what the Terras ate and what a Nutriforge did. He had other plans. He had carefully discussed them with psychologists and sociologists of the Empire, building a plan of action based off of their research and estimations, rather than what the archaeologists had tried before. He had also consulted with archaeologists who had actually spent time at Terra sites, not the ones who wrote long rambling dissertations on other people's observations and discoveries. Terras were known to be antisocial even within pack-bonded groups. Unlike every other spacefaring species, Terras were known to highly prize individualism even within groups. Rather than a group moving forward under consensus, as was the norm, Terra groups had a leader, often with sub-leaders and specialized roles. Taking a risk, Unvarak had spoken to a scientist that was a member of a species that had engaged the Terras in military conflict, and had actually achieved victory in over 28% of all military engagements as well as won their war, something that no other species could boast. That scientist had given Unvarak an equation to help him understand. 1 Terra was lonely, 2 were a plot, 3 was an argument, 4 were a fight, 5 were a war. Another part of the equation was, if one was to ask 10,000 Terras a question, the questioner would receive 11,000 answers, even if it was a yes or no question. That 2 mathematical equations explained a lot about the Terra to Unvarak. Armed with that knowledge, Unvarak started on the next part of his infiltration and recon plan. He wandered around, ordered a few meals that he then sat and moved around the food with a fork before getting up and dumping it in the waste disposal. He recorded every bit of what he was doing, making sure to get close-ups. He had designed, well redesigned, an ancient method of visual recording using a thin and narrow strip of a cellulose acetate base with a coating of light-sensitive minerals such as silver salts. The system was entirely analog and could not be modified. Modern chemistry had allowed him to get high fidelity with the system. Despite the fact the film was analog, he was able to get 240 lines per millimeter. The specially ground lenses for the camera system were specially grown synthetic crystals that were then laser smoothed and shaped. The film was considered a triumph of modern engineering. 2 types were used, full color and one that only did shades of black and white, the second having an even higher fidelity. So Unvarak carefully recorded everything on the audio tape and visual film. After an hour, he went over and pressed the assistance button. He waited to the count of 10 and pressed it again. Then again. Then he just started pressing, releasing, and pressing again, over and over, as fast as he could. What? The Terra manifested as a hologram at the same time as it screamed through the hidden speakers. "I can't find my supervisor," Unvarak said. "Because he's dead, you moron," the hologram screamed. It lunged at him, scrabbling at him as it fell through him, appeared on the other side of him, lunged again to stumble away. "Kill you!" It gave a scream, raked at its own face with its broken nails, and vanish. Unvarak waited till the count of 100, taking the time to wipe his forehead and calm himself. He pressed the button again, then again, then rapidly pressed it. "Stop doing that. It makes a terrible noise." the hologram screamed. When's my in-processing briefing? Unvarak asked. The hologram stared at him, whispering to itself, then vanished. Unvarak carefully got out a piece of paper and unfolded it. He pressed the button and held it down. Now what? The hologram screamed. I lost my ID card. My supervisor said to show you this, he said. The hologram screamed in frustration and rage, then leaned forward to look at the paper. It's blank, the hologram growled. What? No, it isn't, Unvarak said, shaking the blank piece of paper. It is. Is not. Is not. Unvarak yelled. It's fucking blank, the hologram screamed. Fine. Fuck you. It's fucking blank, Unvarak yelled. He ripped it twice, crumpled it up, and threw it through the hologram. There. Fucking happy. The hologram screamed at him, and he screamed back, face to face. The terror screeching in rage, Unvarak masking to utter and complete terror with fake rage. The hologram drew back, breathing hard, blood running down its chin. I need a new ID card, Unvarak said. Where is your old ID card? The terror asked. You never gave it back, Unvarak yelled. I did too, the terror screamed. Did not. Did not. Did. Fine. Fuck you. You gave it back and I shoved it in my ass, Unvarak screamed. I need a new one. Fine, the hologram snarled. I'll give you a new ID card, then I'll kill you. Unvarak made the motion he had practiced over and over. He waved one hand dismissively as he turned around. Fine, what the fuck ever, dick. Follow the blue line, the terror hologram said. Its voice dropped to whisper. Asshole. His knees and hocks shaking, Unvarak followed the blue line through a winding course. Finally he could see, up ahead, that the line divided, a red line going left and the blue line going to a door. He kept going, taking a left, then taking the next blue line, wandering around in circles. The hologram appeared. What are you doing in this section? Following the blue line, Unvarak said, pointing at the yellow line. It's yellow. Blue. Yellow. Blue. Yellow. The hologram screamed, banging its head against midair. I'll kill you, kill you, kill you, kill you, it's yellow. Fine, don't get your digital panties in a wad, Unvarak said, invoking one of the more powerful digital terror warding phrases. The hologram screamed, punching itself in the head for a long moment. Finally it looked at Unvarak. Follow the green dotted line. Unvarak followed the red line. The green line. The hologram shrieked, appearing. Oh my digital omnimesia! Are you stupid? Color blind, Unvarak said. My people have problems with terror visual range. The hologram stopped screaming. Are you fucking kidding? How are you this terrible? Racist, Unvarak said, invoking a Tier 4 assault phrase. The hologram drew back and looked around real quick, licking its bloody lips. No, I'm not. Can you show me how to get there? I haven't gone through in-processing, so I don't have my lenses or face shield adapter, Unvarak said. I mean, it's supposed to be a big deal that I'm the first of my species to work here. Yeah, the hologram said. I'll kill you later. Aha, Unvarak said. The hologram led him to a room, then had him sit down. Remove your helmet, the hologram said. I can't. I'll die, Unvarak said. Turn your face shield to transparent, the hologram tried. Your lights will cause photosensitive receptors in my eyes to burn out and my skin to be damaged, Unvarak said. It was in my file. What file? The hologram asked. The file you signed for before I got here, Unvarak said. The hologram rezzed slightly.
Fine.
The ID card slid out of a slot, still steaming slightly. Unvarak picked it up, then looked around. I don't have pockets. Oh my God! I hate you so much I can taste it in my balls. The hologram screamed, bashing her face against the desk. Can I have some juice? Unvarak asked, looking around. No, the hologram said, looking up. Unvarak just sat there. Now what? The hologram asked. Its voice dropped to a whisper. I'm going to kill you in your sleep and wear your ID codes as panties. When's the in-processing briefing? He asked. He needed to blink, his eyes hurt, but he didn't want to look away from the hologram. The hologram stared at him for a long moment, her lips moving as she whispered to herself. Fine, the hologram said. Follow the yellow line. The lines appeared, and Unvarak looked at it for a long moment. Which one is yellow? I hate you so much, the hologram screamed. It jumped up and down, punching itself in the head.
Fine.
Follow me. Unvarak followed the hologram through the twisting corridors. More than a few open doorways were along the hallways, all of them open to dark rooms. Sometimes there were whispers from the darkness. Sometimes red eyes stared at him. He ignored it all. Finally, the line led to an auditorium. He moved over and took a seat, settling in comfortably. The screen flickered and came on. The Terran Galactic Arm Spur Anti-Margit Defensive Line System. The voice boomed as it showed the galactic spiral. It zoomed on what Unvarak recognized as the Galactic Central Spur. It zoomed in even further, and Unvarak cocked his head. There were multiple scatterings of stars between the spur and the next arm. Stars that he'd never seen in the night sky, nor were beyond the artifact. There was nothing beyond the spur but dead space and a handful of stars that created a small trail. With the Margit having originated in the Sagittarius arm, further study during the Margit War has shown that the Margit interstellar biological configuration is limited to approximately 50 to 75 light-years, the booming authoritarian voice stated. For some reason, Unvarak felt his stomach clench. With the Confederate Senate disbanded and the member races of the Terran Confederacy of Aligned Systems unable to come to a decision, the duty to protect the Cygnus Orion Galactic Arm Spur has fallen to us, the voice said. A flag appeared. It waved in an unseen breeze, blue background with green stripes and a white bird of prey in the middle. Terran Defense Force, the voice stated. Recruiting from only the best, this black box-approved project has the mandate of defending the entire spur from a resurgence of the Margit, the voice said. You are part of Project Orion's Cup. Unvarak felt sick to his stomach as he kept watching the introduction video. It went over the Margit first, an XNA creature that excreted acid that could melt through any known substance, including war steel, which was what the Terrors called Material 19. They replicated rapidly when consuming any type of life or carbon-based material. The creatures could strip entire planets bare to the bedrock in weeks or months, consuming the population. They traveled in interlinked clusters that somehow were able to achieve FTL speeds. Anomaly 83, aka the Massive Imprinted Object, was part of a system designed to purge the Margit from infested systems and more. Armored to withstand overwhelming Margit assault wasn't what Unvarak have to use the emergency vomit tube. The principle was simple enough, and he'd seen part of it in use. Graviton generators would spin up two competing gravity sources that would cause a tear in the fabric of space. Protomatter would well up in the tear, was siphoned off, and then, once enough was gathered, was put back in the sphere. Gravity generators would be used to compress the protomatter, igniting a white dwarf star inside the sphere. The star would be used to generate power in gravity waves, the majority of which would be used to transfer to the massive generator system relay hidden somewhere called red space. The iris could open and close to be used as propulsion for the system, which was called the Stellar Emission Radiation System. That wasn't the worst. Not the worst by far. The system was ultimately designed for one simple thing. The light of the white dwarf, all of its emissions, would be gathered by the inside of the shell, transferred to the edge, where they were compressed and directed outward at an angle. There, all 20 beams of energy would hit what the video called a hellspace-infused gravitational lens, to combine all 20 beams into a single beam. Somehow, and Unvarak wasn't sure how, the lens altered the energy so that it broke the most basic of laws. The beam of directed energy, the entire output of a white dwarf, moved at approximately 500 C in order to allow long-distance strikes. It could create a sustained beam for up to 6 hours. There was video of the beam being used to shatter a planet into gravel in less than 60 seconds. There was video of gas giants being ignited. There was video of stellar masses exploding in a hypernova. The Terran Galactic Arm Spur Anti-Margit Defensive Line System, the voice said, ensuring that the Margit do not spread to devour your family. There was silence for a moment. The Terran Defense Force welcomes you to the team. Together, we keep the Confederacy and everyone else safe, the voice finished. The lights slowly came up. A cloud of bluish-white smoke plumed out from next to Unvarak. He turned to look and found himself staring. A female terror sat next to him. Midnight black hair, sharp features, a pert upturned nose. She wore an outfit that was almost military-esque in its severeness. Her hair was pulled back in a bun, and her grey eyes smouldered with something that made Unvarak's stomach hurt even more. She had a Trinidad smokestick in her mouth that she withdrew with 2 white-gloved fingers. She stared at Unvarak for a long moment. Who are you?" Unvarak stammered. The female terror smiled, a baring of sharp teeth. "Call me D.